In the previous video, I didn't really go into Greek mythology or even touch upon Roman mythology as much as establish their dominance in Western culture in inspiring many of the modern day stories we see in film. Let's move on to Egyptian myths. While the Egyptian pantheon is distinct from Greek and Roman mythology, there are a number of similarities. The birth of Amun and the story of Amun, Amun-Ra, Amunet, having both male and female aspects as primordial gods, is not uncommon, with Amun's evolution to becoming the sun god Ra after a lifetime on Earth and the daily struggle of Ra against the forces of the underworld, only to prevail and bring us a new day. This also is not uncommon in the creational myth structure. If one researches the mythologies of Egypt, one will find at least 4 variations on the themes of creation, human struggle, planting, rivers, and other motifs and themes that predominate early mythologies. Amun, Amunet, gives birth to both Geb and Nut, the material earth and sky respectively, which begin the male-female dyad that begins the cycle to humanity. One interesting aspect in mythology is the mashing that occurs when you bring myths and religions together in contemporary life. First, you might notice the Egyptian gender juxtaposition of the earth as male and the sky as female. More often, one sees the Mother Earth image, where the land is the life-giving source, therefore female, and the sky or water and rain take on the male role of insemination to growth. This agricultural juxtaposition then stands out. But in looking to the middle of this figure, you also see the Brahman and Shiva theme in both the earth and sky, with the lotus blossom emerging from the navel of each god to create Brahma and to be destroyed, Shiva. In the middle of this is the human chakras. So Egyptian myth here somehow mishmashes with Hindu cosmology. And I reiterate, anything is possible in modern day storytelling, or in this case, healing therapeutics. A commonly recognized myth is the story of Osiris. Campbell discusses this in Power of Myth. We see how Osiris marries his sister Isis, like most primordial human-like gods, and like many historic kings and queens for that matter. Osiris is betrayed by his brother Seth, who is married to another sister of theirs. Brother-on-brother betrayal is not unique to any mythology. Osiris dies, and Isis conceives Horus from the dead, reassembled body of Osiris, creating the Egyptian version of the mythology of rebirth out of death, a theme that subsists to this day in many religions. In one story, Sekhmet, the goddess of war and daughter of Amun-Ra, wreaks havoc on the people who have disrespected Ra, but Ra eventually relents and makes her finally Hathor. He makes Sekhmet into Hathor, the goddess of wisdom. Wisdom comes out of war and conflict in one's youth. Sound familiar? Time and the lunar calendar have their origins with the gods as well. What functions do these stories serve? Something interesting and important to note in Egyptian myth is therianthropy, how the human bodies have animal heads, the heads of animals from the local region. The animals of these cases are raised to the level of gods, especially when one subsists from that animal to survive on a daily basis. Also, nature is seen as superior, where one has to subjugate oneself to the life cycles. We see every day the birth of the morning and the death of each day, westing on the horizon. The cyclical nature of the rise and fall of the Nile is like breathing. But the first god, having both male and female aspects, birthing other gods as titans, which then create other gods more human-like, mimics Greek and Roman myth quite thematically. There are many modern-day stories that have derived from Egyptian mythology. The Mummy series often has these themes, along with Stargate, the movie, and the TV series. The Gods of Egypt film with Osiris, Horus, and Seth at odds. Also, I enjoyed very much playing through the Assassin's Creed Origin game and fighting the gods of the underworld in that game. There's a lot of stuff out there where you can find more information on Egyptian mythology and hear their myths. So feel free to follow your bliss on that and be inspired to create stories along those themes. Here are the few of the commonly recognized therianthropic themes, along with the modern day retreads. The next presentation will close out our very brief coverage of ancient mythology by looking at a Mesoamerican native creation myth.